like anytime I would try to get McGriddles, if it's like sausage,
Bro, do
and
not put a McGriddle near me. Are you kidding me?
If it's
You're putting the syrup in that?
Yeah.
It's
fuck me
immediate
up.
diarrhea. It's like, I'm not even out of the line yet.
I smell it and my stomach's like, hey, don't.
You thinking?
We used to be kids. Now we're not. Something happened in between. This is the Broken Youth Club.
I will say, like you said, it did allow me to take a quick nap.
Mm-hmm.
Not quick. I don't know how long I was out. A couple hours, maybe.
Yeah, you were out a while.
Yeah.
You were out for a while.
It wasn't a quick nap. It was a good one that
not.
I haven't had in a while. But I remember kind of being a little dozy. But then Simon was crying and came over to me and was like ready to nap. And this hasn't happened in a while because he's getting older. And
Yeah.
it was. I knew I wasn't like contagious or anything. So I was like, get up here, nap with me. And right away fell asleep with me. And I remember kind of like, oh, this is nice. Like I'm missing, this is my last chance to like really have this. And I remember, I had that same feeling then later when I went to put on his shoes. And I remember I kind of took my time a little bit and strapped each one a little slower because I'm like, it hit me that I'm not going to get to do this very much longer.
Yeah.
And I know I'm on my third go round with it, and you just take advantage of those things that are necessities to like get out the door. But it did kind of hit me a little bit of cherish it because it's almost gone. That chapter is almost closed.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard this like TikTok or something the other day where somebody was talking about when a kid says a word the wrong way for a certain amount of time and then they finally say it right, and you like as a parent you feel really proud, like, oh my gosh, they finally got the word right. But then you also like have this little moment of like grievance or grieve.
Yeah, there's a sadness.
Yeah, like you grieve that you won't hear them say it like that again. And
it's a loss of innocence almost.
I feel like I can't immediately remember the word that Oliver would say wrong. And I know that Ollie had one that they would say wrong. But Arlo right now will say regular instead of regular.
Yeah.
And I borderline want him to just keep saying it that way all through adulthood. Like just be wrong forever because it's so sweet.
Was it Oliver who would say four-liller? Or who was that? Someone, and
I don't know.
I remember that was a funny one. I'm trying to remember too because I remember Ollie had a funny word.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
Okay,
but man, regular kills me. It kills me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like when Simon got out of the little baby phase, I remember actively thinking, I should be sad, but I'm so not sad that this is it.
Yeah.
That it makes me feel really solid in the decision to not have any more kids. Like I do not want to start over again. I don't want, newborns are so sweet and so squishy, but like it's so exhausting. And I think after the 3, I'm tapped out, bro.
Yeah.
Like, but I find myself sometimes thinking like, man, it'll be so nice when Simon's a little bigger and we can go do these things or whatever. And I'm so looking forward to like those middle kid ages, like 6 to 14. But I know that 18 months to 3 years is typically my like sweet spot.
Yeah.
I feel like my S's are really whistly right now.
Oh,
are they
really?
hitting you?
No.
Okay, good.
I've got a de-esser on the.
I was feeling a little self-conscious
anyway.
about it. I'm like, what is going on?
That'll be all right. It is weird when chapters close because you have this idea of, I'm getting to open up a new one, which is the excitement. But then, you have this kind of, sadness for closing of the other one.
Right.
So it is, And yeah, I would say today, being forced to slow down and having that opportunity again, because I don't really get them very often anymore, to have Simon like on my chest and snuggling like he was a baby. Because I don't do that with Arlo much anymore, really. And then, I mean, obviously not with Oliver.
Right.
It's a different type of bonding now. And, you know, being a father figure, a lot of that part is what I looked forward to as a you know, a young fella. And now that part is almost over, it's like, oh shit, like life is passing me by.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it like everybody else, but I try to be more present even in the instances of putting on shoes. You know, normally that's an annoying task. Like, God damn it, where are the kids' shoes?
Yeah, they're always missing.
I had this talk with Oliver the other day, actually, because Oliver was complaining that it's like we're always picking up and we're always trying to straighten up, you know, the toy section. And he's like, why? They're just going to mess it up soon anyway.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of have this talk about, I know it doesn't make sense now, but one, if you don't stay on top of it, it'll turn into a pigsty. And we've all seen what that, you know,
yeah.
we've been sick or you just had those weeks or months where you just let it go a little bit more. But the other idea I was trying to teach behind that is one of these days, Oliver, like in a weird way, you will miss this. You will look back and you will have these moments of, as much as Arlo annoys you with XYZ or Simon, when they stop doing that, you will miss the attention of some level. You know what I mean? You will miss Arlo nagging you a little bit. You will miss having something to pick up after the messes that you all make. Because someday there won't be those kinds of messes anymore.
Right.
And I know I will. And I'm sure on a brother level, Oliver will. But yeah, that is an interesting like concept and duality of being able to be happy for the next thing, but grieving the closing of the previous one. And yeah, I'm feeling that a little bit this week, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. I think for me, I just, this little phase requires so much of me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I nursed Simon up until literally a couple months ago because, and I only stopped because I started taking the medication that I'm on. And so it's like, and you know, I'm like the default parent because I'm the parent that stays home with them. So of course they're going to come to me all the time. So it's like, I feel like I'm just constantly like getting drinks and getting snacks and wiping butts. And like, it's like every single morning, it legitimately takes me minimum an hour to make my toast and then eat my toast.
Yeah.
Because they always want things in the middle of it. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm so ready. I feel like once they are to the point where they can like get their own snacks or they can make their own bowl of cereal, then I'm going to thrive because it's like, now I'm going to get to have some like personality with you outside of just being like a tired mom that is just getting things for you.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to get to have some of my Kate personality back. And then we're going to get to like hang out and vibe. And I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm so excited to be friends with my kids because I know there's that like weird line. Yeah. But I do also want our kids to think that they can like enjoy us as individuals and also parents.
Sure.
Like I would have loved to have seen parts of my parents' personality that they show me now. I would have genuinely really loved to see that when I was younger too. You know, like my dad can be like really fucking funny sometimes.
Sure.
Like he is so like surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
And he just didn't do that when we were little. He was very like, he was just kind of a hard ass, you know?
Well, that's why I try to be as open and transparent with, especially Oliver, but you know, soon Arlo,
right.
You know, maybe in a couple of years, we'll probably start getting down some of that. But, you know, Oliver sees my emotions. I talk about, you know, not too in depth, obviously, with a little bit of tact, but certain struggles I have.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm pretty raw with the kids as far as I try not to hide any part of like who I am or reserve, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And so when they're older, I hope that they will have a good understanding of who I am, and there will be this sense of like, oh, I've always known my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and like Oliver especially, but I think kids in general, they're so nosy anyway that the idea that we could hide things from them isn't even realistic. So if we don't talk to them about it, they're going to come up with their own, their own ideas of what's going on. So instead it's like, no, let's just be honest with them and tell them what's up. I mean, I had a conversation with Oliver about me feeling really sad and like needing to get on medicine to help me with that. I mean, like,
sure. I
don't go in depth with Ollie about like, man, I'm sad I got to hang out with you guys all the time. Like, I'm not trying to be like that.
Yeah. Again, tact. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, and it's okay to be sad and it's okay to need medicine sometimes to get you through that. Like, Ollie sees it anyway. And I want Oliver to know that the mom that they've seen for the last 8 or 9 months isn't the mom that I want to be.
Sure.
And that, so I'm hoping that taking this medicine will then allow me to be a funner mom.
Yeah. Well, and then they get to
go
see
do things.
And then they get to see that like there's no shame in trying and to like get better. Sorry. There's no shame in trying to get better, and to be open and honest about, especially with the ones you love, about like what's going on and what you're trying to do, because then when inevitably, unfortunately, this is something that like keeps me up at night, is the risk of me passing some sort of my shit to them or them developing other shit that they will need to be medicated for on some level. And I want to make sure we destigmatize that to some degree as far as like, no, it's okay. Like, you don't have to feel any sort of way. And on the other side of that coin, your mom and I have gone down this road. And so we both have, a place to come from when we're giving our advice, and you can feel safe knowing that we will shepherd you in this aspect as well.
Well, and there's just like no reason to struggle. Like, if you're having a hard time and there's medication that can help you, there's no reason to just struggle through things. Like, I am hopeful that what's going on with me is very much like situational to where we're at. And I'm hopeful that like once I'm able to move out of this chapter, whenever that is,
give you an environment to
and like maybe then at that point I can wean myself off of this medicine. But like the other option was for me to continue to struggle and fight it. I mean, you've been asking me to talk like to a doctor about getting on medication basically since my anxiety developed with Arlo.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nope, it's just gonna get better. I'm good. I'll deal with it. And it's like, damn, why? Why did I struggle so much for a couple years before I finally was just like, okay, just take the fucking medicine.
Yeah.
And I do feel better. So.
Well, good. I'm glad that, I try to check in every now and again, but I mean, you seem to be overall in a better place in the last couple weeks, I would say.
Yeah. I think my anxiety is still like higher than I would like for it to be. But I'm trying to give it like the full 6 weeks before I ask them to like up anything.
Okay.
But
yeah,
that us going to the movie theater, that really did fuck with me.
Yeah, that really did. And then once you mentioned it, I definitely was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Now it's in my head.
Yeah. But we went to see a movie, which we haven't done in forever. Yeah. And we just happened to pick the seats that like were right next to the entrance to that theater. So
actually, you know what? No, we didn't.
Well, no, we picked other seats and then those chairs were broken. So then we moved.
I am not going to go to a movie theater that has reclining seats and then both of our seats don't recline. Yeah. I'm moving.
No. But the seats that we chose, it was right next to the entrance. And so I immediately recognized that, but then I was too embarrassed to get up and move again.
Yeah.
And so then I'm sitting there. I'm just like, if somebody would come into this movie theater and decide to like, be real naughty, there's nothing we can do. And my anxiety is so heightened right now that it's like when I have those thoughts, it literally is like a little movie that plays in my head. I can see it happening. I can see you trying to block me. I can see what would happen to you. I can feel, it's like I feel
the panic,
all of that. And I don't know how to not feel that, but I don't want to feel that.
Yeah. Intrusive thoughts and whatnot.
Yeah. It's like, I wish that my intrusive thoughts could just be like a thought and not a literal screenplay of what's going on.
That right there is where, again, I know like the access to it right now isn't the best, but it is like it's getting there. But my ketamine treatments, I would say that's probably the number one thing that has done for me. Is I tried to explain it is that you notice that those thoughts don't come. You just turn around and you're like, oh, I haven't even thought about these thoughts.
Yeah.
And I haven't even thought about thinking about the thoughts. Those are the kind of intrusive thoughts that I'm talking about. It's like the ones that you are so graphic. I mean, for me, yes, it's that, but it's also other like, financial ruin. It's getting jailed. It's like these weird, like worst case scenarios that I just play out in my head and I can't stop catastrophizing any subject or any possible subject that always hypothetically never happens.
Right.
But yeah, I could totally sympathize with that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that this flight we're getting ready to do will be like a big test for me. I'm thankful that the kids won't be on it. That's always like much harder for me.
Yeah, because the last flight we were on, you didn't do that well.
No, I did not. Because we had that like turbulence that they did not tell us about. And it was super rough for like 30 whole seconds. And then I got to panic about it the rest of the flight.
Yeah, it was bad enough. I'm usually pretty good about that stuff. Because I like that feeling in my stomach sometimes of like the kind of the drops in altitude and all that
stuff. Yeah, I like
it
if we're on like a winding road.
Because it reminds me of like when I used to ride dirt bikes and you'd go over big jumps and whatnot. You'd feel that like feeling when you'd go from big jump to big jump. So I kind of like it.
You're much closer to the ground on a
Sure,
dirt bike.
absolutely. But even that flight there towards, it's like after a few seconds, I definitely started to, okay,
like,
you gonna say something?
Stop.
Like, is there anything going on, or is this this is past normal? It feels so. Yeah, I felt very bad for you and your.
Oh my gosh,
because you were going into that flight already not feeling the best.
Yeah, I have not felt great about flying since Arlo. I used to love flying. I used to love going to the airport and the hustle and bustle of it, and like being up in the clouds. I'm like, on what planet? Like, how did I manage to live in this timeline where we can literally fly like a fucking bird up here? Like, that's incredible. Look at us. And now I'm like, I'm that person that gets on a plane and immediately shuts the blind. Like, I need to not know that I'm on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking, Dan and I were talking about this at one point, and he was mentioning that, like, for him, what helps calm the nerves is, one, just statistics. If you look at the millions of flights, and the actual rarity of something catastrophic happening is so rare, that one, that might help. But two, the look around at like the, what are they called? The stewardesses and the
flight attendants.
Flight attendants, yeah. Look at their behavior. If they're just like, I'm on the fucking city bus, everything's fine. You know what I mean? Because it's more than just the captain and the co-captain in there. There's control. There are multiple people involved, several people involved with multiple point inspections and blah, 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 to make sure that these flights are safe, Yeah. And so that's kind of where I do kind of rationalize sometimes is, what are the odds? You know what I mean? Really, what are the odds? And they're super, super fucking low. But I know the anxiety. I know, but that's
not zero. So.
But same thing. You get in a car but then again, I have catastrophized about that too.
I know. I just feel like
I went through a period where I didn't want to even like drive. It was like late high school, I think.
Me too. Right after I had Arlo, it was like, I absolutely don't want to ride in a car. Like, I will drive it.
You want to be in control.
Or I will panic the whole time.
Yeah.
And I feel bad when you drive and I do that. I know I'm that jumpy fucking passenger now. And I'm like, that's
and I'm not
so
even
annoying.
an aggressive driver. I'm actually kind of like a little bit of a grandpa, I would say.
Yeah. And so it's like, if you did that to me, I would immediately be like, do you want to fucking drive? You know, like I would be so defensive that you're insinuating that I'm like being reckless. And I feel myself in my like logical brain. I'm like, okay, Kate, like he's fine. Logan's never gotten us in a big accident before. Like he's not going to do that. He's not driving reckless. But in my brain, I'm like, but that motherfucker keeps hitting that brake a little too fucking hard for me, you know? Or man, you're really getting up close to this person, aren't you? You're like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's annoying to me. I'm certain it's annoying to you. And I just would like for this medicine to kick in enough that I don't feel like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud that you are sticking with it, and it seems to be having at least a positive effect. Something you can look on and at least baseline, you know?
It's been a long time since I've had like a day where I just literally lay on the couch all day. Yeah. And I feel like I did a lot of that before I started the medicine. Good. A lot of just like, I'm going to lay here until I need to like make some food for someone. And then I'm going to immediately come back.
Well, that's a good metric.
Yeah.
So I'll check in a couple weeks.
Great.
So yeah, we've been actually going here for a little bit, but we were intending this to be a lunch table talk. So do you want to maybe just get into some of those?
Sure do.
Okay, I want to start it off with one that, man, it did make my gut sink.
Well, so the topic.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm skipping ahead of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, the topic that we were going to talk about today was like inappropriate or just kind of wild stories about like teachers that you had.
Yeah, right.
And so we put something out online in the Facebook group and asked people, and we had a fair amount of people write on it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't read any of them. Mm-hmm. I let you read through them. So I'm excited to hear what people said.
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay.
So again, the first one that I want to start off with, there was something inside me that it actually made me cringe. But this person says, in second grade, I was big into card collecting, specifically basketball cards. Had a whole card booklet of Scottie Pippen cards, which, you know, if you were into basketball in any sort of the 90s, it was, you know, Pippen, Rodman, Jordan, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Said he had them out in class, and my teacher took them. Said she would keep them till Friday. Did you ever have a teacher like take something and keep it till the end of the week?
Never anything of mine. But I remember lots of people, especially in high school, getting their phones taken and stuff.
Ah, man, looking back, I'd be like, no, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
I think as a parent, I would be pissed
absolutely.
If somebody took my kid's phone, like that is expensive.
If our kids, so Friday came and she said she never had them. Said, still to this day, I see her out and I want to ask about them. Not too crazy, but I remember it like it was yesterday. That was about 25 years ago. Can you imagine having a collection of, you know, pretty valuable cards, whether or not they're valuable or not to a kid? That shit is like the world.
Yeah.
A card collection. I don't know about obviously you, but for me and my brother, we had they were just like white cardboard boxes that you just would get, I forget how, 1,000 cards or whatever. And I remember there were a few stores like in Ellettsville that my dad would take us, and we would get our big bulk card, and then we'd have the plastic sleeves, you know, all the good stuff. And I really got into it with my brother for probably a couple years.
Yeah.
And then when he got too old for it, he like kind of passed it down to me, I would say. I have no clue where any of those are. Probably lost in a divorce somewhere. Or maybe my brother does have some of them somewhere. I should ask him.
Yeah. No, I never got into card collecting, but there was a kid that I was really good friends with. I'm still good friends with, I think, that lived in the neighborhood that my grandparents lived in. So I would go over to his house a lot. And he had, I mean, when I tell you thousands of Pokemon cards, this kid he was like an only child. So I just imagine that it was like an easy thing for his parents to say yes to. If they would like go out, he could pick up a couple packs or whatever.
Yeah.
This kid had so fucking many binders of Pokemon cards. And I'm pretty certain he still has them. I think that his kid also likes Pokemon now.
That's cool, man.
So it's like a thing that they get to continue to love together. I can only imagine like the sheer fucking panic he would have had if someone would have,
you don't have them?
Someone would have taken his cards and acted like they didn't ever have. That's like psychotic. And again, I think about like the parents. Like if Ollie came to us and said, "Hey, I got this thing taken away," I'd be like, "Well, naughty of you to be doing whatever you're doing to get it taken. Yeah. But make sure you get him back." And then if they would come to us and be like, "Oh yeah, my teacher literally stole them."
Can you imagine if you like,
what?
Can you imagine going to the school and then there's like some internal investigation. You find out the teacher did steal them and it's like selling them on their eBay.
Right.
Or even worse, like traded them with some other student in the school.
Right. Yeah.
Like a black deal. Oh,
that is so wild.
I can't imagine. That's the thing that like
some Scottie Pippen cards too. Like that's crazy.
Like, I dare you to say something kind of vibe.
That's crazy.
Oh, fuck that. Okay, I got another one here. So this one, I think I've got something on this too. It says it's not even a specific teacher, but this person's sister, who's 2 grades above them, was a nightmare student. Says, "I'm sure there are some younger siblings out there that can relate. Hello. But so many teachers seem to judge me from day one because of that. There was a solid divide between how well I did in classes with teachers who had my sister and those who didn't. And she fucking reveled in this." Now, I can relate to this so hard because my brother wasn't a terror because he was, I think he was valedictorian or like or salutatorian maybe or something like that. My brother, again, really smart. Yeah. Grades mattered. Also, sports and yada yada. So he was we couldn't have been more opposite. Let me just say, I'll put it this way. I was a super fucking nerd. We know all that stuff. My brother, opposite. And so I remember coming through the system and getting teachers who definitely had him. And it was this either love, hate. And I think there were teachers who did hate him. Yeah. Because he was so like, I don't know. He got it and he had, I don't want to say arrogance because that's not the right word, but it was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence. Like I don't know. Ego? Maybe a little bit. But again, like when you're smart and you could pull the shit off that they're asking you to pull off like quickly, then I don't know, whatever it was, there were a handful of teachers that just didn't like my brother's personality. Yeah. And I absolutely caught the brunt of that. Oh, great. Another Keith. And I had to like work hard to be like, no. I'm the kind who sits in the back with my hood up and won't say a word. Yeah. At least at that point. Before that, I was more class clowny, but once I got to high school, really, especially those last like 2 years, like I just wanted to get through and be done.
My sister was like a total perfectionist in school. And so she had, the majority of her teachers liked her. There was one teacher that definitely did not like her, that then was not nice to me. And she was like a middle school teacher that then also ended up moving up to the high school. And so I'm like, damn, dude, like this teacher. And like, this was one of those teachers that everyone else, all the other students in my class loved her. Thought she was like, because she always wanted to like gossip with everyone. Yeah. Which even as a kid in high school, I thought that was weird. Like, why do you even care? Right. Like who's dating who or what's going on? Yeah.
There are definitely some teachers that thrive on that. Like that is their real world. It's like The Office for them or something. Yeah. It's their real world sitcom.
Yeah. And I remember thinking that was weird. And she was just always really like rude to me, or she would like ignore me. But I also feel like the opposite happened where my sister had one teacher in high school that she loved, and that teacher loved her too. And like they literally were friendly with each other for a decade out of school. Like I would wager that my sister could still reach out to her at this point and they could like immediately go get lunch and have a great time. And then I came through and I was a good student, but I was not a perfectionist.
No.
I'm not somebody that like totally plays into like what's your sign stuff, astrology.
Yeah.
But if I have a Libra quality, it is absolutely I will get it done on my time. You know, like you tell me to do something, I'll do it.
I wish I knew what the different qualities were, but I
Me too.
don't.
I try to watch a lot of TikToks.
You could literally say that's such a Taurus thing, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know if it is or not.
Well, apparently it's a bit of a Libra thing. That,
Okay.
Like you are not somebody that is going to get it done right away.
Yeah.
You'll get it done eventually, but I'm going to do it on my time. Okay. And that's very me. Like I will procrastinate on things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I'll get it done and I'll get a good grade on it, but I'm not going to be the first person to turn it in.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that irked that teacher because she was used to having my sister who was just a really like, good student and also like an enthusiastic student. And I just wasn't great at the subject she was asked, like that she taught anyway. It was an elective and I just wasn't very like enthusiastic about it. And I felt like by the end of me getting out of her class, she was ready for me to go, you know?
Yeah.
She was like over it. Like, you are not Jen, move on. You know?
I was just looking up here because I am curious. Have you ever really looked up your Libra like traits and whatnot?
No, I remember I looked up my big three once where it's like you look up, you know, what time you were born and your birthday and whatever.
Oh.
And like what region you're in. And I remember like when I looked up what my big three were supposed to stand for, like that's supposed to give you your ultimate like who you are as a person. And it kind of hurt my feelings.
Really?
So I was like, I don't feel like I vibe with that. So.
Oh, well this, I just typed in.
But there are certain parts of being a Libra that I think
this
I do
says
fall into very much.
that you're extroverted, which typically I do find you compared to me, especially in high school and college, you know, you were the easy one to like make friends and like use your voice.
Right.
Cozy. I do consider you cozy as far as like, you have a very autumn presence.
Oh my God. Thank you. I love sweater weather.
And it says you're very friendly. And that you're concerned with attaining balance, harmony, peace, and justice in the world. I know these are very like vague and whatnot, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. Let me see. What am I?
You're a Sagittarius.
Sagittarius?
Wait, that's Sagittarius.
Is that I was born in 2 months? You're a Sagittarius.
Embarrassing.
Let's see. Adaptability and flexibility is what I'm like associated with. I'm a risk taker. I have a sharp business and sports mentality.
Hey.
Damn, that's actually spot on.
I know. Doesn't your tattoo say adapt or die?
Yeah, my literal first that's my second tattoo. It's the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
Just like a very vertical version of it. And it says adapt or die on it. Because that was the business mindset I was in when I got the tattoo. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna throw in the towel. We're gonna change what we're doing.
Gonna maneuver.
And we fucking worked it out. Yeah, that's interesting. Again, I'm not, because I know whatever. I'm not gonna get into.
Swear by this shit. So
I'm not gonna either way. I am neutral.
I am neutral. If anyone wants to read me, I'll let you know all of my stuff, and you can tell me. Yeah. Hopefully that I just read my shit wrong and that my big three aren't actually.
Yeah, if anybody's hurtful, like super into it, please send in some analysis.
I just know I need to physically give you my things and then I need you to give it back to me. Like
what things?
Like I need to tell you what time I was born.
Oh, yeah.
I need to give you the information and then you give it. I've tried to look this shit up on my own and I get so lost in it.
Yeah. So don't give your birthday or anything, but I guess if you need that specific, email us.
If you need the birthday specific.
Yeah. Because
what do you think they're going to do?
Astrological. Yeah, whatever.
People going to steal my identity because they know what my birthday is?
Man, it's just.
You know what, man? Take it.
Yeah, email us if you do this stuff like for for fun or even a job. I don't know. horoscope. I mean, if you write for a newspaper,
Maybe.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
Anyway,
email
yeah.
us in. Here's the next one. You can read it.
Oh, it's a long one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. We had a PE coach in my high school who would sit at the gym door and allow kids to skip off campus if you, quote, brought him something back. Later found out he was taking sexual favors too. Then, as a teacher, I taught next to an English teacher who was way too close to some of the male students. She got let go for allowing the entire cheer team to come to her house. She was the coach for a team bonding night. She'd made Jell-O shots for the kids and took pictures with them drinking. Girls showed me the pictures she was in.
Was she like trying to honeypot him or something? Damn.
But then told the principal the kids snuck into her liquor cabinet. One of the girls was diabetic, and when her mom came to get her, she couldn't stop throwing up. The assistant superintendent was called and she was quietly let go.
Yeah, I was thinking about this one, like, just from the aspect of, like, having a teacher that clearly takes shit way too far. Or a coach. I feel like typically it's a coach that has access to, like, after-hours activities, like sports practices, and, again, the ability to do bonding stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even know... That was a good point of, like, if a teacher in class, your geography teacher, hey class, we're gonna have a class bonding thing at my house tonight. How much would that fly? But a football coach can do that.
Yeah.
That is wild. I never really thought about that.
We would have like team bonding things for volleyball, but our coach was such a hard ass that she would have never let us like be inappropriate like that.
Did she? Yeah, she was principal for a little bit, wasn't she?
After. Yeah, she wasn't principal when I was.
Right.
But I remember those nights being really fun, but we literally spent the night at her house.
Yeah.
So it does feel like this kind of weird dynamic. But those were actually always really fun nights.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, I remember all kinds of like crazy rumors and shit going around about teachers that were like messing around with students. And I remember at the time that being like a holy shit, like that's wild. But it didn't read as like, as adults, we hear that and we're like, oh,
it's
that's
a different
like
kind
actually
of holy shit.
Super fucked up.
It's almost like a holy shit, I can't believe they did that. Like they achieved that almost. Like, how did you like what?
Yeah. I always had the thought of like, literally why? Like why would that teacher want to do that? I remember specifically a female teacher that was older that was rumored to be like messing around with certain members of like the football team.
I think I know. Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, one, she's like in her 50s. Why are these guys doing that? And they're like
trophy.
And they're like the popular guys at school. So you're also like,
look what I did, guys.
Dude, that's gross.
Yeah, no.
Trophy. And so I looked at it in the aspect of like, that's a gross, like, why do my like peers want to mess around with our older teachers when they're not hurting for action with my friends?
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm like, that's so, well, I mean, it's a fucking crime, but it's like, it's also so vile. Like, and it's crazy to me how like everyone has a story about a teacher in their school. It's
that's
not
what's
some like, it's not like some new phenomenon or like, oh my God, that only happened at this one school. Like, no, dude, that's everywhere.
Predators are everywhere, man.
We had a substitute teacher that was like super, he worked all the time. He was always in the building subbing for someone in middle school.
Yeah.
And he literally got somebody pregnant.
I remember that.
And had to go to jail. Like in middle school, like, bro, what the fuck? That's so crazy. But it's not unheard of. Yeah. That's not like a rare story. That's so fucking sad.
Wasn't there a teacher at our school who married a student?
Oh, I don't know.
I think we need to talk about that because I think I obviously not going to. Yeah. I think that might be true.
Weird.
I think so, but I'll say it off mic.
Okay, yeah. I'm filling in.
Not like way before us. Like by the time like we came along. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that teacher also stayed married to that student for a long time, still is married.
Yeah.
And they're like retired now. Yeah. But that same teacher would make really like gross comments.
Yes.
In class.
We're thinking of the same person.
Not about other students, but about other like females. And I'm like, dog, you are in your late 60s.
Pervy,
I don't actually want to hear you say this shit. And like, why?
Yeah.
But
you shouldn't be hearing
true.
about. I think one of the one-liner. I don't want to give away the identity because it was something this person.
Dude, he said it all the time.
Yeah.
It was like his intro to the fucking class.
Well, I guess if he's putting it out there, he would say he would. I'm pretty sure it was Faith Hill, right?
It was either Faith Hill or Shania Twain.
Shania Twain, one or the other, is like he would gladly drink her bathwater.
Yeah, he was like,
I wouldn't. We're all like, what the fuck did you just say?
He was like, I wouldn't cheat on my wife, but I'd drink her bathwater. I'm like,
all right. Like, so presidents now, I guess, or like, states.
Oh my God, dude. And again, he was so old that I'm like,
oh, you're bald. No, dude.
Dude, like I can't. Do you remember? This might have even been like, I mean, I'm only a year older than you, but I remember this happening early in high school. So I wonder if you were even there. Do you remember the older male teacher that we had at our school that would wear shorts?
Yes.
And not have...
That was when my brother was going through, there was a ban.
Yeah. And well, yeah. So he was not allowed to wear shorts anymore because he would wear shorts. He would wear shorts and not wear underwear. And he would prop his leg up on like
a
chairs.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
All right, listen, guys, I'm going to talk to you.
See his fucking nuts.
His nuts would
like,
hang out.
Bro, like, what's going on?
Yeah. And they had to come to him and they say, sir, you are no longer allowed to wear shorts. You have to wear pants.
Yeah.
Because your gum is hanging out. It's like a grocery sack with like oranges in it. Yeah. Okay. Bro.
Not your gum. God.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was my brother was like a junior or a senior or something that happened.
Yeah, I feel like I remember it. I feel like it was like freshman year for me. Because I think your brother was a senior my freshman year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like, I had other teachers that, again, made like inappropriate
I know one.
And shit.
I know one. There was, and I had to, okay. You know exactly who I'm talking about, but this person definitely got in a lot of trouble. I think several times, but I don't think anything actually came of it.
Never got fired?
Yeah. But I remember there were these games that we would play in Spanish class, and it was always for some reason, and it was like, you have to stand on this line, and when you get a word right, you have to like put your hands behind your back, and you have to make one jump forward, and at the end, whoever gets to the like furthest line wins the game. But he would always choose like females to do it, and you know, like the ones that were, you know, the popular ones, and so he would literally like make them like bounce their tits. To get correct answers. And I remember there was this one comment he made. It'll never, the whole class, dude, it was, everybody has had this moment, I'm sure, at some point, where one girl came up and stood about to answer some questions he had or whatever, and he had this weird awkward silence, and just like that old man just like, you know, like that breath, just like, okay. Oh, I see your jeans got some holes in the knees.
I know.
And she's like, oh, yeah, haha, that's the style. He's like, oh, I bet you look pretty good on your knees. And we were all like, what the fuck did he just say? And he's like, yeah, okay, because of your chest. And we're all like, what? And he pointed to like a cross or something that she was wearing. He's like, oh, because I'm sure you pray, right? It was this so like, I know this dude. Check this dude's hard drive.
Literally.
It gave me the creepy jeepies.
Okay, I did not know that because I didn't take Spanish, so I had not heard that. And
yes.
But I know exactly what teachers talking about.
I'm talking about. And I think that's been going on. I'm pretty sure like My mom was like, oh yeah, he was like that when I was in school.
Like, how does that happen?
I fucking don't know, man.
That's so foul.
It's like systemic, like, oh, maybe because he's been around for so long, like it's not like a powerful family or anything, but maybe it was like, oh, we just don't do that because that's someone who has tenure here or something.
No, I thought you were going to talk about the teacher that I actually really did like, and I thought he was really funny, and he made a boring subject not boring. But he got in trouble numerous times because he would have alcohol in his cups.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was gonna.
And
on this one, yeah, I was gonna read this, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah, because
10th grade, I had a substitute in my science class who was openly popping pills and drinking soda in a can.
Soda with a quotation.
Soda, yes. He told us a story about how his dad was one of the bombers of Hiroshima, and he wouldn't have met his mom and subsequently have him, the sub, if he hadn't dropped the bomb. He proceeded to pass out at his desk, and our entire class walked out and played hooky instead. Needless to say, we never saw him again.
I'm gonna tell you about my pappy back in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Oh my God. That's fucking...
But yeah, that made
sitting at the desk popping pills. Okay.
That made me think of, exactly who I'm talking about. 7th or 8th grade? Was that 8th grade, I think?
I think it was 8th grade. But I really liked him. I thought he was funny, funny. And he was good at
he was kind-hearted.
He was good at razzing the guys without embarrassing them. Yeah. But it was I don't know.
I always had these word games too, where he knew every class. It's looking back, he would always say his threes is trees.
Yeah.
And I think he did that on purpose, just as a little nod to, I don't know, it's like he loves Chicago. There's a little bit of tree in there.
Yeah.
But I think he loved the game of seeing how long it would take people to say something every semester.
Yeah.
Because again, he's another person who'd done it for years and years and years. And yeah, my dad, same thing. It's when he was in school, he was I remember a story of my dad telling me that someone had run up and pranked him and grabbed his cup, his mug thing, and then ran down the hallway, and the alarm bells that you could see going off above his head, and the immediate chasing this kid down the hall, give it the fuck back.
Yeah. Because
it's obviously not coffee in there.
Yeah.
Because his thing was he would have one of those, pull out drawers in his desk.
Yeah.
And I mean, he should have been sponsored by whoever makes those white and red round mints.
Oh,
because I mean, the millions he probably ate over the 30 years of covering up his breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember, we talked about it on another episode that we haven't aired yet, and we're not really sure when we're going to air it. But I had a teacher in the 5th grade, and it was her first year at our school and her last year at our school because she got fired. But she was so inappropriate. She was actively dealing with an eating disorder, specifically bulimia, and she was the number one supporter of this fucking eating disorder. She would make these comments about how my teeth look like this because it's my stomach acid has burned all of my enamel off of my teeth, but I look great,
baby,
and you should, but my legs are skinny, and you should have a thigh gap, and that's what you need to have for the boys to like you. And I remember she was such a fucking fan of that Uncle Kracker song. Follow me, and don't everything is all right.
Yeah.
Okay. She loved that fucking song. That was her favorite banger. And I remember so many times that shit would be on repeat. The only reason I know all the words to that song is because of how often she played it. I could sing you the whole thing right now. And I remember one time we had an indoor recess, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to teach you guys how to play poker," or something like that. And then that's literally all we did for the rest of the day. It wasn't just a recess activity. Yeah. It was literally the rest of the fucking day. That was all we did. She was there were some girls in class that still didn't shave their legs, and she would make comments to them about how they needed to be using, like, at least you need to be using Nair.
Wow.
Like, she just put every like toxic fucking female requirement.
Like she's the spokesperson for female toxicity.
Yeah, like it was, she was so, and I'm so bummed that I had her at such an impressionable age too.
Sure.
Because I think that, like, not that I looked at what she was saying and thought, well, that's right, but like I definitely had these moments throughout school whenever that would ring back in my head about, like, I bet if I wanted to lose a quick 15 pounds, I could just start throwing up a lot. Like that kind of shit where it was like, she normalized it so much throughout that whole year that in my head, it wasn't like this crazy thing to do. I never did it because I am like a very violent puker. Like I am so loud and I am like a projectile. Like everybody would know. There would be no secretly going to do that for me. But it definitely like normalized it for a long time. Or like whenever I would know that my friends were doing that, it didn't hit in this way of like, oh girl, like you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. It was just like, well, that's just what girls do if they want to be skinny. Like, I don't know. But she was such a, like, she should not have been there at all.
I wonder if she went on to do any more teaching at another district or,
I don't know.
Man,
I never heard her.
Girls that she's like negatively affected.
Yeah,
man.
I've never heard her name again.
Well, that's good.
So yeah.
Do you have? So I guess for me to kind of flip the coin, I do have one teacher in mind that is like a standout that I always remember as being like the teacher for me.
Yeah.
And that was my third grade teacher, just to like balance the talking shit about teachers. Cause like I'm a big proponent for, I think society needs teachers.
I have an elementary ed degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we love teachers in this house. We love our teachers,
and we are big advocates that we should value them higher.
Yes.
Almost like, to me, I love the Scandinavian model, or it's either Finnish or Norway, something over there, where it's essentially you have to go to school just as long, if not longer, I think, than medical professionals, like doctors.
And then
I think
you're
it's
also
like 8 or 10 year.
And then you're also paid the same. Like
you are like, very highly valued by.
You are highly paid, and you are highly valued,
and it's looked at as this like noble thing.
Yeah.
To pursue. Now, I feel like it used to when I was younger. Like there was this sense of like respecting teachers overall. And then now it just seems to be like almost like they're government workers, just like a post office, like.
Well, and I feel like so many.
No offense to my post office workers.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like so many people almost look at teachers as like fucking glorified babysitters at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what
you know
I'm
what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's like, we went to school too, and so many teachers. Whenever I went into my student teaching, this elementary school I wanted to work at, I don't know if it was an Indiana requirement or just that school district, but it was also like, oh, and within 5 years, you need to have your master's degree.
Yeah, right.
So like, you have to also continue education. And I think a lot of schools or a lot of states require you to get even more education after. But like, then they're not paying you enough to pay those student loans.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of teachers have to get secondary jobs either throughout the year or for sure during the summer. Yeah. It's so fucked. It's so fucked up.
Yeah, that's a whole other like episode we could probably go into, but.
Yeah. But we don't want you guys to take this like us talking about the shitty ones as like.
I think it was just a good opportunity because everybody again has you wouldn't believe what happened at my school with this, whatever. But yeah, to get back to I had a third grade teacher who, at the time for me, that was like the heart of my parents trying to figure out, like, is this kid going to be okay? Basically.
Yeah.
Because I had basically up through that point, psychiatrists, various medication regimens. I had this special book where I'd get my ass whipped, all that good stuff. So it was like this, they were trying various things. And this was like the first teacher to like see me as someone who was outside the box of sit here, do this, and then you get this grade.
Yeah.
And I feel like she understood me. And that's where I started doing the spell bowl, which she so happened to be the instructor for. So it was my homeroom class. And then my mom signed me up, and then I would just get to like stay in homeroom, and after school we would practice, and then later on go to our competitions and all that good stuff. I don't know. And then after graduating and not seeing her for 20 years, whatever.
Yeah.
I was friends on Facebook with her, and I had reached out and said, hey, would you like to maybe get lunch sometime? And we actually did. We, right at Upland, across from that downtown shop that I had. We sat for about an hour and a half, and it was just a really cool moment of the last time you saw me, I was a person that you were hopeful for.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, I'm sure, again, with the advent of Facebook and, social media, she's been able to at least touch base. So I'm sure this story would be a little different if you had gone back, a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this cool moment of like completing a loop of like, everything just going great. Actually, if you look right over there, that big building right there, that's mine. I'm doing all right. And I still have somewhere, there's a poster she gave me of Einstein. She really made me feel that, hey, I know everybody tells you you're special, but more in like a behavioral, like we need to put you in the corner kind of special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make you feel like what you maybe think actually inside of like, no, maybe I am like a little something here.
Mm-hmm.
And she treated me with like dignity.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, a big turning point for me as far as, learning can be somewhat fun. And, I don't have to get these grades to not get my ass whipped. I can get these grades because I've now learned what it feels like to be rewarded for putting in the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got in trouble a couple times, of course.
Sure.
She caught me, doing a couple naughties, but I think overall she handled me like she is the teacher that you would see on a poster with a golden apple on her desk and did it right.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really thankful that I had her to be such an influence early on in my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody?
I have two teachers.
Oh, okay.
That stand out, but it's funny. I was trying to think, like, I feel like I remember a lot of high school and all of that, but I actually cannot think of a lot of teachers. Like, I can't immediately like remember their names and their faces together.
It does start to slip a little bit.
Outside of people that I like also knew outside of school, But first teacher that immediately popped into my head was my kindergarten teacher. And again, we knew her a little bit outside of school too, because her husband worked at the same company my mom worked at.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never like met her before. My mom just knew her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really like remember that much, but I just remember her room being at school for me with her always felt like very warm and safe and fun. And like, I remember one time my mom was late picking me up, and my mom never picked me up. I would ride the bus and stuff, but I think it was my birthday. And so she was going to pick me up from school, and I was in kindergarten, like, 1995 or something. So this was before cell phones were like everywhere.
Yeah.
And my mom had gotten stuck in traffic, but like couldn't call and tell the school that because she didn't have a phone. And so all the other kids leave and I'm left in the class, and I'm upset because I don't understand why my mom isn't there. And I remember Miss King like pulled out a coloring book or something and just sat with me and colored and like made me feel really safe, even though I felt really nervous that my mom wasn't there. My mom showed up and she was like crying and upset, and then we moved on. But I just felt like that room was always really safe for me.
Yeah. And
she was somebody that like would continue to check in with my mom as I got older, and she like came to my graduation party, you know. And her husband had left the company my mom worked at a long time ago, so there wasn't that like connection necessarily anymore, but she just like stayed around, which I always really appreciated.
Yeah.
And then the other teacher that I can remember really liking a lot was the home ec teacher in high school. So you were in that class with me, right?
Yeah. No.
You weren't?
I wasn't. No.
Oh, well,
I don't think she
always let you come in there whenever.
It was lunchtime and whatnot.
Yeah. So for like a while, Sarah and I would go at lunchtime, and instead of having lunch in the cafeteria, we would go to her classroom and we would like make ourselves lunch because it was home ec anyway. So she had all the food and stuff. We would make like spaghetti and shit. But I really liked her, not necessarily because I loved the class. I mean, the class was fine, but I liked her because I think she knew that she could trust me, that I wasn't somebody that was just going to like take advantage of her kindness.
Yeah.
And so she always just like was really understanding with me. And for a period of time in high school, I don't know why, but like I could not eat or drink anything before like 10:30 or I would have like violent diarrhea.
Yeah.
I don't know, like literally nothing. I think
it had to do with your like sports, like workout regimen, wasn't it?
I don't fucking know. It was infuriating because sometimes you wake up and you're damn hungry or you're thirsty. I remember one time I made the mistake of taking the smallest sip of orange juice at Sarah's house before school. And when I tell you the home bell hadn't even like rung yet, and I'm walking up to Miss Fig and I'm like, and I was somebody that like, I would rather get in trouble because I'm leaving school than ever shit in that school building.
Yeah.
Like I was not somebody that could do that. And especially not like a violent diarrhea first thing in the morning. Like nobody's ready for that yet, you know?
By the way, I don't know if you're ever ready for violent diarrhea.
I understand. But like, damn, dude, first thing in the morning, I'm like not even awake yet.
That's an extra.
Like, and my parents, we lived like 7 minutes from the high school, and she would let me leave school. And she, like, I didn't sign out. I can go to the office. Yeah. She would let me leave out of her door to go home and shit and come back because she knew that I was like physically sweating. Like, please do not make me shit here.
I feel you.
But she did also, there was like I think it was supposed to be a teacher bathroom in between her room and like the sewing class room, the fashions room. And there was like a single bathroom in there.
Okay.
And she also would let me use that bathroom sometimes. Like if I needed to shit during the school day and she wasn't my teacher, so she couldn't let me go.
Yeah.
I would say like, oh, I need to go get something in Miss Fig's room.
Yeah.
And then I would be like, hey, I gotta shit.
I remember you doing that though, like for real. And also having this
painful. Like what was wrong with me?
Just go to the bathroom, girl. Like just go to the bathroom.
I could have never. Because like I didn't even feel like our bathrooms at our high school were necessarily very soundproof, you know, like you could walk by them and hear people peeing.
Okay.
So I'm like, no, I'm going to alert everyone with an earshot of what's happening in here.
Instead, you're going to just
instead I'm going to physically remove myself from this building.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go home and I'm going to do my business and I'm going to come back. But man, that was such an annoying time for me.
Yeah.
Like, why? And I would go to Sarah's house and I would go to Sarah's house in the morning and then we would get ready together and then ride to school. And we started doing that in like middle school.
Yeah.
And so her family always had like good stuff. Like they would have those, like pancakes wrapped in sauce. Like there was like a sausage link in the middle, like a corn dog, but with pancake and sausage. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I can still taste and then immediately feel the gurgle of like making the mistake of eating one in the morning because I just wanted it so badly.
I wonder if I have the same thing because I remember like anytime I would try to get McGriddles, if it's like sausage
do not put a McGriddle near me. Are you kidding me? You're putting the syrup in that?
Yeah.
It's immediate diarrhea. It's like, I'm not even out of the line yet. Like,
I smell it and my stomach's like, hey, don't.
What are you thinking? Yeah. Oh my God, man. But yeah, they would have donuts. They always had juice. Fucked me up.
I've never been a morning, like I would love to be, but there's something about my appetite that's so suppressed in the mornings.
Well, so then I stopped eating breakfast for a long time because fucking obviously. And then it's like all my 20s, I never ate breakfast at all. And it's like I had blocked out the fact that it was because it used to give me violent diarrhea. I was just like, I just think I'm not a breakfast person.
I remember being in like, I want to say like 4th or 5th grade, and I was taking a test. And you know how you get those like poop cramps in like waves, how they come, and then you're like, oh, I think I'm fine.
Your whole body goes like rigid as
but then then you have this period of like, no, I'm good. And then it comes back and you're like, oh shit. And then like by your 3rd one, you're like, okay, I guess I'm dealing with this all day. But I remember I was in the middle of the test and I was like, I wasn't going to tell the teacher, hey, I gotta go shit. But I was going to tell them, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. And they're like, are you done with your test? I'm like, no, I'm not. They made me finish that test.
Yeah, because heaven forbid, like, you're so worried that I'm going to go cheat in the bathroom. Like, no, I'm about to fuck it up in there. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I was cold sweating finishing that thing.
I feel like my dad, again, he was like an intimidating dude. And he would get so mad anytime that we farted in his presence, like any at all. And I feel like we've spoken on this podcast already about the fact that like I'm a tootie gal, okay?
Very much so.
I don't burp. It like all comes out of the bottom.
You would win, yeah.
And I remember so many times in the car, I'd be like, Dad, I need to fart. And he's like, don't you fucking dare. But he wasn't laughing. He was mad. He was like, do not fucking fart in this car. And so like when you have to hold a fart in and then you like feel it go off inside of your home.
It's like one of those like in like those underground bomb explosions. Just a
But then you inevitably feel it creeping back up and now it's going to be double the size.
Sorry, Dad, I let a slapper out. You might want to roll down the window.
No, I couldn't let it out.
Did
the amount
you
of
ever?
times I would just sweat the whole way. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm not like perfect.
Okay.
Of course my dad has smelled.
God damn it. Dude, that's me too, though. Hey. Especially with you. But like if Oliver has this thing where he's like, he wants to like put his ass in your face.
Yeah.
And then just let those like, yeah, oh my God.
Stop
it. Like, you're not a little baby anymore. It's not cute anymore. Stop it.
All the parts of Oliver that we think of that are yours, that is mine. Like, that, my mom used to make this joke that, like, before I could get out of bed in the morning, I would need to, like, jumpstart my motor, basically. Like,
yeah. And that's still the case today.
It's like it's not even, it's actually fucking disgusting. But they're not small, okay? Like they're not sneaking out.
Yeah, it's like you've been building up pressure all night, and that is your morning release, your valve.
And when I tell you, like Oliver, for like a 9-year-old,
good morning.
The amount of noise that can come out of that kid, like it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm so thankful that I don't have to hold my farts in anymore because that was such a painful period for me.
I'll get one on Mike at some point here again, and I will embarrass you a little bit. Actually, you're not embarrassed, so you won't.
Sometimes I am. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I am a person.
All
okay.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Well, I think that's probably a good spot to end it. You want to do the little closing stuff? I have the stuff written down now.
Yeah. If you are not in the Facebook group, that's where we pulled these comments about people and their inappropriate teachers. There were a lot that we didn't share. So if you're curious about other people's stories, feel free to hop into that group. It's just Broken Youth Club on Facebook. If you have a story that you ever want to write in so that it's not on a public forum like that, whether it's an answer to one of our silly questions or if it's, something you would like to tell us about, you can send that in to mylife at brokennouthclub.com. That's just me answering those. So I promise I will be gentle with you.
And then we have our hotline, which is 509-850-0674. And again, we don't pick up, we don't man it or anything. It is a spot for you to call, leave a message, and then know that someone is listening. And that's basically all it is to know. Sometimes it's nice to just have your voice heard, regardless of if there's a conversation being had.
It will take roughly an hour before it stops ringing, and you can actually leave your message.
No, about 40 seconds.
It's insane. Like so it feels like an eternity. Yeah. But, we're doing what we can.
Yeah,
over here,
for right now, it's the best option for that. But before we go, actually, I was thinking we meant to do this on the last episode. I think we should talk about what we have been talking about, wanting to do here in the next month or two. And that is start a Patreon.
Yes.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is we like doing these lunch table talks that are a little looser. And if we're, using the analogy of a school, I like to think of the main episodes that we do with titles and whatnot as the in-class work, where you're actually focused and you're trying to do some work anyway.
Yep.
And then these are just a little looser, like you're literally sitting around just chatting with your friends. You hear what Miss Ferris said or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we want to continue to build. And I think along with that is going to come with, we'll separate the lunch table talk, I think is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Into a, Patreon content.
Yeah.
Exclusive or whatever. We're still working out all what that's going to be as far as, what the details are, what the levels are. We like the idea of continuing the club name. I've always liked that. My business is the Spicy Club. This is the Broken Youth Club.
Yeah.
We like our levels being the AV Club, the Chess Club, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll figure those out.
Right.
And then, I think what we should probably talk about is what we want to do then from here on out, what the hopes and dreams are with the pod. I'll let you take over a little bit while I pull this up.
Yeah. There's a couple of logistic type things that we would really like to do. We would like to invest in a couple more cameras. We want to update a couple of things in that way. But I think for me, I have a little bit of party planning type background with my job that I had right out of college.
Yeah.
And we think it would be really fun to also kind of continue this idea of high school type event where we would rent out a high school for a weekend, and we would have basically just a way for all of us to get together and relive those times, but as adults now.
Yeah.
So we could have art class, and we could have I used to play euchre at lunch with all of my friends. We could just play cards, or we could do scrimmages.
Just almost like a lock-in type of vibe.
We could just play and pretend that we are stupid teenagers again that are just having a good silly time. Have a prom or a homecoming dance, but just a way for all of us to get together and have a kind of a carefree weekend that could just be really fun. But obviously that kind of stuff, all of that involves financial stuff that the Patreon could help with in that way. But we just kind of want to make this, we talk about how important it is for us to kind of create this community where it's safe and people feel really taken care of. And I think to be in a place where we could plan, an annual event where we could all get together. We could travel to wherever that is.
Yeah, it's always been my dream to...
Could just be like a fun way to, take this stuff to the next level. Yeah. So it's not just you listening to us here, but also like we get to all kind of engage together.
Well, it's a part of when we said we wanted to do this, we want to do it. We want to give it a good, honest, solid go at it. We want to try to do it as, quote unquote, by the book, right as possible.
Right.
And in doing that, a big part of our plan and a lot of podcast plans in overcoming that, discovery phase, which is the biggest problem podcast face.
Yeah.
Is to advertise. And with advertising, it's not cheap in the podcast world.
No, it's a really expensive buy-in.
And so in order to continue to grow the show in an efficient way, that's going to take, focusing on doing that. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be one of my big goals is to be able to do that. Some of my other goals, just to be transparent, is what I like about this podcast is that, and show in general, just like the entity of the Broken Youth Club, is that it allows me and you to have our creative outlets all kind of under one umbrella. Mm-hmm. Just specifically with the show, I get to do, the sound design, I get to do the editing, all the social content, we have fun with, and, we've always kind of been in that world, I guess. Little set design, all that fun stuff that kind of comes with that. I'm in merchandising. We want to do like our tie-dye limited run, t-shirt merch party things that we want to do.
Right.
I want to make and sell my own just art. Mm-hmm. Like I've always considered myself on some level or another an artist.
Yeah.
And that's how I make, a living outside of this in some aspects, is being a creative force over at Bad Magic.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be, I've talked about the coffee table book that I've wanted to do, like those little projects.
Yeah.
One thing that makes you laugh that I'm still trying to convince you on is I really, on the other side of this wall, well, this is my studio in here. So like off camera, you can't see, but I have my desk and like this is where I would record vocals and guitars and, piano, keyboard stuff, whatever. On the other side of this wall right here is where my drum studio is. And so with what I have, we can record songs together, and I want to start a little Broken Youth Club band with you.
Oh my gosh.
I think that would be just so fun to just, obviously we're not going to necessarily plan on touring as a band or anything like that, but just the occasional, like, let's just do a song or do a cover, and we can release it on, Patreon or whatever. It's all those little things, these ideas that I have and that you have. I think this is a great vehicle to do that under. Because it's not just a podcast, it's not just a show to me. It's truly about finding and building meaningful community. And so I hope that, I hope we can do that. And so far we are doing that. And I want to just continue growing that.
Yeah. A side note to that, like, band idea. I remember, do you remember like Vacation Bible School, but like they would do it during school hours? Did you guys ever do that at your elementary school?
No.
Okay, well, we did. It was like a thing that they would do on like Wednesdays. They would pull you out for like maybe one of the recesses, and there was a little church building like across the street. Mm-hmm. And so you could sign up to do it, and then you would go over there, and then you would like sing worship songs. And like, I'm so surprised that my parents even signed me up for it, because we just never were like people that went to church regularly. But I think my parents would say that they're religious, and so whatever. But I remember going to that, and the girl that was sitting next to me, we were like, singing the songs. And when one of the songs ended, she leaned over and she said, "You have a really pretty voice."
Yeah.
And I was so uncomfortable that I literally was like, "Shut up.
Shut up. Stop it."
And she was just like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And then
you do though.
And then I didn't sing the rest of the time because I was like, I don't want you to hear me.
I remember
that makes me so uncomfortable.
Being in high school and like hearing you get a little comfortable with me and then belting out a couple little, runs here or there.
Oh my God.
And I remember having the thought of like, wait, what? I didn't know you could sing. And then, yeah, like obviously knowing you now, you absolutely can sing. And so I want to hear, we're going to do it. I think that's a hill you need to get over as far as like uncomfortability. Because why not do something that you're A, good at, and B, you like to do it? I hear you do it.
Okay. Anyway, we're so happy that you're here. And, we'll give some more details on the Patreon stuff whenever we can. Yeah. And we're pretty sure, like, we want to have a free tier too, so that you guys that like want to participate in that, but, aren't able to do some of the other tiers.
Yeah, we're not trying to block off
able to be
access to necessarily. We're not trying to be like, and then if you upgrade to this, you get access. We're trying to, as little as possible, like gatekeep anything. It's more going to be just like you have an option of this, you have an option of this, just so everybody has at least some option of, being in the club.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll just kind of fill you in as we go on that. But yeah, we're super happy you're here. We're really thankful. We're excited to see where this goes. And we'll talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.
See you.